support the legislation we need to defeat MS-13 once and for all. We have a great country. I want to keep it that way.
Republicans getting ready for a busy week in Washington. Immigration is front and center. The president is going to meet with House Republicans.
You've got family separation, a policy that has gone on previous administrations.
If you do not want to be separated, do not cross the border illegally. Follow our laws, follow the process.
This Inspector General report, FBI Director Wray, as well as Inspector General Michael Horowitz testifying tomorrow before Senator Grass's Judiciary Committee. Will anyone actually be prosecuted?
Some Republicans want to know why FBI agent Peter Strzok still has a job.
Peter Strzok should be prosecuted.
Comey's been fired. Deputy Director McCabe fired. Why is Peter Strzok still there?
What I'm expecting is for the Inspector General Horowitz to do the same kind of tap dance. It's not a swamp, it's a dadgum sewer.
And it's the final round of the U.S. Open, teeing off in just hours. And round 3, Dustin Johnson stumbling into a 4-way tie, but everybody is talking about this.
Phil Mickelson, he took a shot, the ball started rolling.
Whoa.
He hit it back while it was still going.
Whoa.
Little blue-eyed blonde with shoes on wrong, 'cause she likes to dress herself. And the most beautiful.
Come on in.
Kids, yeah, welcome in. Forgive us for that graphic. You don't have to get your dad a tie on Father's Day. That's what the graphic showed, 3 ties.
That is the classic gift, though.
Pretty standard dad gift.
It's not a bad gift.
It's not a bad gift.
Maybe a purple one like we've got.
Double purple. Maybe get your
You
dad
know
a purple
what
tie.
gift we need to give Griff? And by the way, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, including these two gentlemen.
Go with it, Abby. Keep going. I see where you're
Griff
going.
needs a new set of socks.
Griff, take off your
He's
shoes.
worn the same socks on the show multiple
Griff,
times.
come on.
We were
They've got
talking
holes.
about the socks. I will confess that we have here a hole on what is not a fashionable sock. And the hole here, the hole matches the hole on this sock.
At least they're matching.
It would perhaps. Oh, we have a dad joke. What a heel, he says. Yes. So anyway,
Griff, seriously,
I may need some socks. I don't know.
we need some socks for Griff.
He's also sitting by Pete, who has the best socks.
Well, I got new socks.
work.
They're purple. You know, it's the thing. But like, you know, those are dad socks.
I'm gonna need some.
Dads wear socks forever.
With
My
holes.
dad, the socks in his drawer have been there for decades, and he wears. Why would you replace socks when they're perfectly good?
Right.
Like
There's
that
nothing-
is dad logic.
There's nothing wrong with these socks.
My dad has had the same comb for 25 years. It has 2 bristles left, and it's still the only thing he uses. It's unbelievable.
That's right.
And it's over in Moscow
And he
now.
brought it to Russia?
He said he wants it buried with him.
That's
That's how attached he is to his comb.
I love it. I love
Send us
that.
your photos of this morning. of
Ambassador
your dads.
Huntsman, I respect
Like
that.
this
I
is
love
this
that.
is dad wisdom, and this is what we're asking for all morning long. Email us friends@foxnews.com. Jokes, wisdom, photos. We want them all. We got this one from Ken.
This comes in from Ken. Says his dad Burnell is an Air Force vet. He writes a few years back he and had the chance to lay wreaths at Arlington, and while he did that, the president flew by. What a great memory! What
Very
a cool
cool.
shot.
Plus, this one from Lieutenant Wilcoxon, along with his fellow firefighters, hard at work this Father's Day. See a lot of fathers out there doing their jobs this morning.
Yeah, as
Very
are you
cool.
two.
All right. Well, send us your photos and
This is a job.
and
This
bad
is a real
jokes.
job.
But listen,
Firefighters do their job.
we got to cover some news, and that is what's going to happen in Washington this week. The president heading up on Capitol Hill on Tuesday, trying to talk with House leadership and GOP members about 2 bills that are under consideration. One from the House leadership, and a more conservative one being put forth by Judiciary Chairman Bob Goodlatte, who, by the way, will be on this program a little bit later. And it is coming at a time when we see so much emotion and such rhetoric over what to do about immigration.
And of course, the president has said, I want a wall. It was his huge campaign issue. Democrats have said, we want amnesty or a path to citizenship or a path to legalization for the DACA kids. The president says, I want the visa lottery system gone. I want chain migration addressed. All of that should be ingredients on a deal. Capitol Hill has a chance to do that. If you don't like the policies on the border right now of family separation and zero tolerance, change the law. And the president has said that. I'll sign that. That's the debate ongoing. And Tuesday at 5:30, I believe, p.m. on Capitol Hill, the president will meet with House Republicans as they determine the route that they want to seek. Kellyanne Conway was on this network yesterday answering questions about this policy. This is what she said about the president's vision on immigration. Listen.
The president, as he's wont to do, is trying to bring everybody together to come up with some common sense plan, but he could not be more clear about what his vision on immigration is. He wants to have a sovereign nation that has physical borders. He wants to build the wall, obviously, but he also wants catch and release to end. He wants a merit-based immigration system. Democrats refuse to provide the funding necessary so that you can expand the detention centers. The immigration issue, including at the border, has gone on for a very long time, and the two presidents before him tried to deal with it also.
All right, and a big reason why this is at the forefront is because of what we're seeing happening at the border and the zero tolerance policy put forward by Jeff Sessions and what the president campaigned on early on in the campaign days, that they're going to crack down at the border and on immigration. You now have, as you've seen in the headlines, kids that have been separated from their parents. You also have a number of kids that the majority come over knowing they're coming over by themselves and are going directly to where these facilities are. So just to give you some context here, there are currently 10,700 plus migrant kids in HHS custody. You go back, though, to 2013 under the Obama years, they had as many as 25,000 children in custody. Just to give you a sense that this has been an issue the country's been dealing with well before even the Obama years. And I was reading a New York Times article today about even the Obama team got together and they were struggling with this as well. And even for a few moments, they talked about a zero tolerance policy. And they came to the conclusion it would be bad politically and it would be bad in terms of optics. They knew what the headlines would be. So what you have now is President Trump saying, I'm going to put that aside. I'm doing what I feel is the right policy. He wants to make it right for these kids, but we've got to get the bills.
He disagrees. He doesn't like these images. He has said that. But, you know, we have to give context. The president is tackling a difficult issue that isn't just been ignored and not handled under the Obama administration. It goes back to 1997. Bill Clinton dealt with it. It went to court. Then under George W. Bush's administration, they also chose to not deal with it, that it was too politically perilous. And then under the Obama administration, as you saw, they wanted to sit on it and not deal with it. Now the president saying, I'm willing to take the heat and I am going to face this.
I got to ask this question. What are the images we don't like? We're talking about a temporary separation. Your parents broke the law. They came here illegally. We are a nation of laws. Temporarily, we are going to put children in a shelter as the legal process is ongoing because their parent is a lawbreaker. We're going to take really good care of them. 3 squares, snacks, video games, soccer fields, plenty of safety. And then as the legal process is resolved, we reunite people. Yet you have the left saying these are concentration camps. It's nonsense. Like, let's have a conversation about the policy. But I love the fact that this president is willing to say, I'll set aside all the noise and at least do what I think is right based on disincentivizing people from breaking the laws of our country. Let's have that debate and discussion. But to impugn the motives of Trump and say that he's opening concentration camps is what drives people nuts.
Or
and you
calling
look
him
at the
a Nazi.
facts. Or calling him a Nazi. You look at the facts. Obama had more kids at certain levels in these facilities than Trump has.
Right.
That doesn't make Obama a guy who opens concentration camps. It means policies are really hard things.
Right, but
and the border is open.
By the way,
we should
though,
have a wall.
the majority of these kids coming over the border, they are coming here by themselves, and they know that they're going to end up in these facilities, and that's where they are heading. You've got about 30% of them that when they come over with their parents, these younger kids, that is when, as of now, they are separated. And that's what is hard for people to see, because anyone who is a family, anyone who, look, it is an emotional issue, whether you are on the side of Donald Trump's policies or the other side. It is not easy for anyone to watch families get separated. It doesn't mean that we can't figure out a way to fix this.
That is the key. They know this is about rule of law. The president is choosing, the administration believes the president is showing leadership in this case. While we are America, the hope of beacon for the globe, the president says it's also about rule of law. And you look at what's happening in other countries. If you look at Germany, Angela Merkel may yet be out of office soon. She has a problem there with migrants. You see what happens when you don't deal with this issue. And this is perhaps a contrast that we can look at and see. You know, we have President Trump trying to deal with what is an influx on his border. It happened under the past 4 previous administrations. And now what's happening in Germany, the result of what you do when you ignore it.
So Angela Merkel is the queen of open borders. She is a centerpiece of the EU. She is the prime minister of Germany. And the reality is she's facing a contest within her own party. She's in her 4th term right now there, but it's a coalition government. So if you don't have the support of your party, you don't remain in power. And there's a big contest against her, and she may lose her position. And a lot of it hinges on the fact that they've let in 1.6 million refugees and migrants into Germany, which has changed the entire tapestry and complex of that country. Right. And a lot of Germans there say, wait, you're opening our borders, and the people coming here, we don't know what their allegiance is. We don't know if they're assimilating. We've got big questions here. Ultimately, voters get a voice, and it's not clear that open borders works.
It is interesting when you see that photo, if we can pull it up again, from the G7 summit, as Angela Merkel's basically staring down at President Trump. Who knows what is being said at that moment, but she's someone who has been very critical of President Trump's policies and America first. And here she is, as you're saying, Pete, there's a lot of infighting going on, and who knows what her future looks like, because Germany is facing a lot of challenges when it comes to the border and how they move forward, and the violence that they've seen over the past few years.
Because voters get a vote. That voters get I guess vote is part of voters.
Yeah.
Well, voters get a vote is the most redundant thing I've ever said, but they do, and you can't just open your borders and change your country and hope everything stays the same.
It's going to be an interesting week.
Yeah. All right. Well, a lot of news this morning. I do want to bring you some other headlines we are following. A candlelight vigil set for tonight to remember 2 fallen deputies, Teresa King and Patrick Rohr, shot and killed outside a Kansas City courthouse. King, a 13-year veteran of the county sheriff's department there, was a mother of 3 kids. Rohr had served 7 years and was a father of 2. Investigators believe that inmate Antoine Fielder, seen right there, grabbed one of their guns as they escorted him into a robbery hearing. He was also shot and is expected to survive. And a historic 3-day ceasefire coming to an abrupt end in Afghanistan. An ISIS fighter blowing himself up in a crowd of Taliban fighters who were celebrating the ceasefire with Afghan security forces. At least 26 people were killed, more than 50 wounded, about 100 miles south of Kabul. The ceasefire marked the end of the Ramadan, the holy month of Islam. Also, James Comey once again fueling rumors of a run for president in 2020. The fired FBI director tweeting this picture of himself standing in a cornfield in Iowa. Really? This after sharing a photo with America's tallest gnome in Iowa on Friday. But his tweets about the state go back to last year. Iowa, of course, hosts the first presidential contest. Comey still denies that he will run for office. But boy, those pictures.
Do you remember that? He's either going to run for president or try to be a crackpot philosopher.
He did this before when he had another Twitter account under a pseudonym of odd, sort of abstract things. It reminds me of that website when Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, had that website, Kim Jong-il Looking at Things. It's just
I'm not sure it was basically.
You realize when he's looking off in the distance, someone is taking that photo, and he's like, take the photo of me now. Look at me. I'm stoic. Sorry. Anyway, they're telling us we have to go. All right, Attorney General Jeff Sessions using the Bible to defend the administration's immigration policy.
I would cite you to the Apostle Paul and his clear and wise command in Romans 13 to obey the laws of the government.
But now Sessions is facing an onslaught of criticism for those comments. But we ask, can a person of faith still believe in the rule of law? Our panel of religious experts here to weigh in just ahead.
In skepticism over North Korea's nuclear intentions starting to ease. So is the historic summit already having an impact? We'll ask Mike Huckabee live. That's coming up on this Father's Day.
Welcome back. Well, a new poll revealing Americans are becoming more optimistic about North Korea giving up its nuclear weapons. Following the president's summit last week, 41% now say it's likely, up from 30% in April.
Here to react, former governor of Arkansas and Fox News contributor Mike Huckabee. Governor, always good to have you on. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you very much, and please tell your dad Happy Father's Day from an old friend, and I mean old
I
friend.
will. Well, you both are great men. Both of your daughters, myself and yours, are lucky to have you in our lives. I do want to get your take on the way the country is feeling about North Korea, because I do feel like there's a disconnect between what you're hearing in the media and how much of America feels and how optimistic they are about moving forward and dealing with North Korea. You look at those poll numbers, people seem really like we're in a good place right now. They're hoping for the best.
Well, it's certainly moving in that direction, Abby, and I think the fact is people saw what happened, excuse me, in North Korea. They saw the difference of Kim Jong-un's attitude, stopping these tests that had been going on that scared the daylights out of everybody. And the Singapore summit was historic in that it brought these two sides together. I think the bottom line is this. North Korea is not going to have nuclear weapons in the future. They're going to give them up one of two ways. They're either going to voluntarily give them up, and they're going to have those condos on the beaches that the president talked about in his amazing video, or they're going to have them taken away. Because I think they have to understand, and I believe they do understand, Donald Trump is not Barack Obama, George Bush, or Bill Clinton. And he's not going to just say, okay, we made a deal, you didn't keep it, nothing happens. I think something will happen, and Kim Jong-un understands that if he wants to continue to be the leader of North Korea, he gives up nuclear weapons. If he doesn't give them up, they'll be taken from him, and it will not be pretty.
Governor, any concern that the administration is getting ahead of itself, that they haven't, you have to take the steps to denuclearize. The rhetoric is saying, hey, they're going to. Any concern there, or are the leaders strong enough that, they'll make sure we follow through?
Well, I've said Donald Trump has played this differently than anyone else in the world would have played it. There's not one diplomat alive who would have said, okay, here's our plan. But here's the difference. His is so far working better than all of the conventional and traditional approaches. So let's let this play out. And he has proven time and again to be right when everyone, even the people around him, thought he was wrong. Yeah. So one thing we are seeing is that Donald Trump has decided to throw convention out the window, not just do the things that have always been done, which have been ineffective, which, by the way, that is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Governor, a quick, have you heard from a particular press secretary on this Father's Day?
I'm sure I will.
She's busy.
But I'm guessing... Let me put it this way. Now that I'm shaming her on national television, I'm pretty sure I will hear from her at some point.
It's early. It's early, Governor.
Early, yeah.
We'll give her a mulligan.
It is early.
Works hard.
I'm gonna just give her a little bit of slack. But if I don't hear from her in the next couple of hours, I'll be back on Fox and Friends later.
We'll bring you back.
And I will share some photos and secrets that will absolutely make her wish.
Well,
you're on the hook for that.
We want that either way, Governor.
I like that.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's
Have
Day.
a great day.
Appreciate it. All right.
Thank you,
well,
guys.
It's hard to beat Governor Huckabee, but still ahead, we've got Corey Lewandowski, David Bossie, maybe on at the same time. We'll see. And Dr. Sebastian Gorka, all here live.
And comedian Leslie Jones wants to cut political jokes from Saturday Night Live. So can the show find other things to joke about besides President Trump? Funny man Tom Shalhoub is here to weigh in. He is live next. Come on in, Tom.
Time now for your Father's Day news by the numbers. First, 75 million. That's how many dads are currently living in the United States. About 6 in 10 American men over the age of 15 are fathers. Next, $15.3 billion. That's how much American consumers are projected to spend on Father's Day gifts. The average person will spend $133 on dad this year. And finally, 47. That's the percentage of people who plan to treat dad to a special outing as a gift that includes concerts, sports events, or dinner. Abby?
We love our dads. Thank you, Griff. All right, earlier on the show, of course, we showed you Griff's 5 rules for Father's Day, but Griff is about the nicest guy that we know, and he's a nice dad. So how about some advice from a mean dad?
I'm a mean dad. He's a good guy, but Tom Shalhoub is a Fox News contributor and the author of the book, Mean Dads for a Better America. a great book and a great guy. Tom, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Pete.
Give us the mean dad Father's Day perspective here.
You got to be a mean dad. Dads aren't mean enough anymore.
I agree.
I was raised by a mean dad. You know, the thing is, people say, oh, your dad, what is it? Your book is about abuse? I'm like, no, we did what we were told. My dad used to reach for the belt. And they say, the belt.
Here we go.
The belt, that's no good. You know, he never had to pull it out. You reach for the belt. As long as the kids are scared, that's why you say.
You instill fear.
Instill fear. As long as you're afraid, then you don't have to. My dad, he never had to punish me. There was no punishment because I was so scared I never did anything wrong.
What about this one? Don't play fair. So if you're playing like a chess or something, you don't pretend to lose just to make your kids happy?
No, I'm in the process of beating my daughter at chess right now. We paused the game. Do not let them win. The world is not fair. So why should dad be fair?
Yeah.
That's what I say. Whenever they say, oh, it's not fair, dad, that's not fair, that's not fair. The world's not fair. Life's not fair.
Look at your two
I
girls.
like that.
There you go. Look at that.
That looks like a mean dad to me right there.
I'm not mean on Father's Day, but that's look at that wonderful swag I got. You know, bacon and eggs.
Look at that visor.
That is a I
what
love
you
dad
sleep in?
visor.
I
Look
love
at this.
that.
They don't make me good stuff like that anymore, but I save them. So look at that.
Look at that.
That's all I need.
So sweet.
What did you say? $130 on dad? I get none of that, but I don't need it because I get this.
And you talk about patriotism too. Teach it.
My dad he taught me to be a patriot. I don't know if it was intentional. He used to drag us around to all of the Revolutionary War sites. You know, the Battle of Bunker Hill, the Freedom Trail. And I said, my dad, he's raising me to be a proud American. Or maybe he was just trying to fill the afternoon with activities. Does it really matter?
No.
Yeah,
No.
Tom,
Fill it
let me
with good
turn
stuff.
you real
That's
quick
right.
to another topic before we run out of time, and that is because you are a great comedian, and that is Leslie Jones talking about cutting jokes from SNL. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think she's smart because at this point, it's been politics all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe they should have picked up on that it used to be comedy was an escape from politics. And I would watch my cable news and I would get my news and then I would go to the comedy shows and I would laugh. Now it's like 24/7. Leave the news to us, guys. We can handle it. Joke about, you know what I want? Bring back Seinfeld, the show about nothing. Because it's the only thing we have in common anymore. Nothing.
And Friends, those shows just live on.
Yes.
I know. The jokes are just all the same, too, when it comes to Donald Trump. It's just boring. It's boring to watch.
Like, you know, observational humor. Let's make jokes about life. It brings us together.
And here's to mean dads. May
Mean
there
dads.
be more mean dads.
Yes, exactly. And the book just came out on paperback.
Yes, buy it. Tom Shalhoub.
Congrats.
Happy Father's Day, Tom. Good to
Love
see
it.
you.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
All right. You can't be pro-life and against immigrant children. That's just one of the headlines attacking Attorney General Jeff Sessions for using the Bible to defend the administration's immigration policy. Our panel of religious experts are here to weigh in next.
And candidates ramping up the rhetoric as they make their pitches to voters. But what message are they sending?
This will stop anyone in their tracks.
Wow, that's intense.
Persons who violate the law of our nation are subject to prosecution. And I would cite you to the Apostle Paul and his clear and wise command in Romans 13 to obey the laws of the government because God has ordained the government for his purposes.
Attorney General Sessions citing scripture to defend the administration's immigration policy, and the so-called mainstream media is having none of it. Listen.
More than 2,000 children separated from their parents. The White House is not using policy to justify this, or, you know, they're actually using the Bible.
Would that have been the choice, Romans 13, to use? Because that's been used before to advocate slavery.
I thought we had separation of church and state in this country.
Here to react, our religion panel, Fox News religion contributor Father Jonathan Morris, along with Muslim scholar Dr. Kunta Ahmed, pastor of New Life Harvest Church Bishop Leanne Benjamin, and Rabbi Evan Moffick of Chicago's Congregation Solel. Thank you very much for being here. Kunta, I'm going to start with you. So you've got this idea that religion can never be something that underpins policy. In this case, reasonable people can disagree about separation of children at the border. He's citing Romans 13. Is that something an attorney general should not do?
I think that we are a faith-based country, though our government is completely distinct from religion. Many of us in this country are guided by religion. And I was fascinated to hear the Attorney General's quotation. We have exactly the same quotation in the Quran, that we must accord authority to those that govern us to keep a peaceful society. Otherwise, we have anarchy. So I can't really criticize him on that. And the religion is not entering the policy. These policies existed in the last administration as well. They're just being enforced now. Of course, it's inhumane to separate families, and we can correct that by changing a policy. But let's not forget, the United States offers many myriad legal means of seeking asylum.
Sure.
You make a legal port of entry to this country, and you can seek asylum.
Bishop Benjamin, your take.
Well, you know, I'm totally in agreement with Attorney General Jeff Sessions, and again, happy Father's Day to everyone out there. This is totally what we should be doing. The Bible clearly says that the higher powers we are to be subject unto, which is government, but ultimately God. And so in doing so, we must have order. If not, we'll have tyranny. And so I'm in agreement with President Trump in building the wall to secure our borders. And we are not in any way being dishumane to these children being separated by their parents. The Health and Human Services Refugee Settlement is taking good care of these children while their parents are going through this process because they did break the law.
Father John, I see you disagreeing. Let me put a headline up there too.
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead and respond correctly.
Things. One is absolutely there's nothing wrong with the politician quoting scripture, but it's not going to go well for you when you take one scripture to justify your policy. That same scripture, as we saw in one of the video clips, has been used in the past to support slavery. When you say no, hey, this is the law of the land, support it. We could say today the law of the land is abortion. Oh, we need to support that. No. We have a responsibility as a government, as a nation, to make just laws. Does that mean there should be safe and secure borders? Yes, absolutely. But let's not take one scripture and say it's okay, therefore, to take a baby out of a mother's hands or a father's hands. That cannot be justified. And we can say, hey, that's the law. And now maybe the legislator needs to change the law. Yes, but President Trump could also have an executive order like he's done so many times in the past. He has said that he totally disagrees with this policy right now. Let's change it. And let's not use scripture to suggest that it's okay to take babies out of their parents' hands. Let's be serious.
Rabbi, let me get the rabbi in here. There's also a New York Times headline that caught our eye to just add another angle to this discussion that said you can't be pro-life and against immigrant children. Of course, the implication here is that if you separate them, you're against immigrant children. Rabbi Moffick, your take on that?
Oh, I absolutely agree with Father Jonathan. I think I appreciate quoting scripture, and there are Jewish echoes, Dina de Malchut Dina, the law of the land is the land. But the Bible also says 36 times, you shall not oppress a stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. So I think it's very dangerous to quote scriptures as a justification for government policy, because you can often find different ones. I think the focus should be on values, and what are our values as Americans? And I think it's humane treatment. Of course we have to have national borders, there's no question, but how we treat those who come into our country reflects on us. A society is measured by how it treats its most vulnerable.
Rabbi, speaking of treatment, so you can disagree about policies on the border, but there's some hyperbole around that. And we're going to play some of the reaction to separation at the border and get your reaction. Listen to this.
We can't find a solution to this problem without harming children, without putting them into concentration camps.
I call this a concentration camp for kids, because that's exactly what it's turning out to. When you give kids 22 hours of lockup time and 2 hours of airtime, what else can it be?
Rabbi, okay, you could say a lot of things about family separation at the border, but to compare it to concentration camps, and in fact, one of our former CIA directors posted a picture of a concentration camp that exterminated 1.1 million Jews. How do we have a rational discussion when these comparisons are going on?
Well, absolutely. I think it's overblown. And I think, I mean, I haven't visited these centers, but
they're not gassing kids, right? I mean, you can.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's exaggeration, and I think it reflects the polarization of our politics. I mean, it's either 100% against or 100% for, and the other side are total enemies and are creating concentration camps. That's more reflection of how our politics has devolved rather than the reality. So I absolutely think it's a horrible comparison. I think we need to be humane and empathetic, but to call them concentration camps is out of bounds.
Well, Father John, I heard your passion there, and understandably so. You don't want the wrong historical comparisons. You can use Scripture to justify the wrong things at the wrong times. In this particular case, though, to talk about concentration camps, how do you move beyond? I mean, How do you move beyond that when that's the way one side views it?
No, that's just irresponsible behavior to be talking about concentration camps as a comparison. But you know what I do hear a lot, which I think we also have to speak against, is people who are saying on social media, people are telling me this constantly on Facebook or Twitter, saying, hey, Father, no, the people who are doing wrong are the ones who are breaking the laws and coming over illegally. And I would say yes. That's true. But when somebody does something wrong, like breaking a law, it does not give the government free rein to then do whatever they want with them. And that's where I think we have to be better than what we're doing right now. We have over 20% increase in children being separated right now from their parents. Something has to change with that.
Leon, but the policy is, of course, temporary. The separation is temporary. Shelters are different than concentration.
It's not temporary for those kids, Peter. It's not temporary. Those kids are the ones suffering.
But Leon, go ahead.
Well, look, this is definitely a hyperbole of what is actually going on with our government. Our president has already stated that he has no desire in separating children from their families, but we must have rule of order. We must have process. They're being taken care of very, very, very well, while their parents who broke the law are being properly processed. This is something where we have hyperbole, we have exaggerated. Congress has stalemated on this. They have a chance coming up to make the policy right, and the president is ready to sign anything that supports border security, bringing families back together, getting rid of this chain migration, these long overrun, outdue visas, and something that's going to keep America safe and protect us from criminals like MS-13 and all this drug smuggling. This stuff has to stop, and Congress plays a great part in this. We cannot keep blaming our government when we have those in government that want to keep and perpetuate the problem.
Conte, your response.
Pete, two things. We have numerous avenues of legal political asylum in the United States. Go to a legal port of entry, families are not separated, children are not separated. So number one, this does not mean that immigrating or seeking asylum in the United States separates people from children. Number two, as a member of the USC Shoah Foundation, comparing what's happening in the border to Auschwitz, where I visited, is a desecration of the memory of the Holocaust and represents complete distortion of an important discussion.
You guys all make me want to go back and get a theology degree, I'll be honest. Thank you guys.
The Bible's real.
An important discussion. I really appreciate all of you this morning.
God
Thanks for
bless
joining
you.
us.
Happy Father's Day again.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy
Appreciate
Father's Day.
You got
Blessings.
it. All right, well, still ahead. Candidates ramping up the rhetoric as they make their pitches ahead of the midterms.
Congressman Hill opened his campaign by attacking me, knowing full well that I've said from day one that I won't vote for Nancy Pelosi. We're better than that.
But what message are they sending to the voters? We're going to break it down coming up next. Plus, we've got Corey Lewandowski, David Bossie, maybe on at the same time. I don't know. We'll see. Stick around to find out. They're both here live coming up.
Well, you can tell everybody. Yeah, you can tell everybody. Go ahead and tell everybody.
Happy Father's Day to all the wonderful dads out there. We are back with some quick headlines for you. Former Trump campaign chair Paul Manafort waking up behind bars, but with celebrity accommodations. Jail records show that Manafort was booked as VIP after a judge revoked his bail for witness tampering. He is waiting for trial at Virginia's Northern Neck Jail for alleged financial crimes he has pleaded not guilty to. And a botched robbery ends with gunshot wounds for 3 would-be robbers. A couple outside of an Atlanta grocery store exchanging gunfire, injuring each of them. The targeted couple was not hurt. Also a new elementary school will soon bear the name of an illegal immigrant. The school board dedicating it to journalist Jose Antonio Vargas, who was from the Philippines. He beat out other contenders, including former President Barack Obama. Griff, take it away.
Thanks, Abby. Well, the march to the midterms is on as candidates continue to make their pitch to voters, both sides ramping up rhetoric on gun control, immigration, and the establishment. But what message are they sending to the voters? Here with insight, editor-at-large for Ballotpedia and senior fellow at King's College, the one and only Scott Rasmussen. I got to tell you, Scott, we have seen some interesting campaign ads. We've got a few I want to get to. Let me just jump in with you. This one involving a little bit of pepper spray. Take a look.
This will stop anyone in their tracks.
Wow, that's intense.
For less than $1 per person in the U.S., we can have a secured canister of pepper spray in every classroom in America.
Scott, I'm not sure that looks very comfortable. Levi Tillman is his name.
Yeah.
What's your reaction?
Well, look, every campaign commercial has to be talked about in context. This is an outsider candidate. He's an underdog. He's trying to rally the progressive base. He talks about impeaching the president and single-payer health care. And in this ad, he's saying common sense gun control, which is what every Democrat says they support, is not enough. So he wants to do something to up the debate. It's a little bit crazy, and I certainly wouldn't recommend doing it at home, but I think what he's trying to do is these are all low turnout primaries. If he can get the base to rally, he has a shot at an upset.
All right, take a look
work.
at this one. This is an Arkansas House Democrat candidate, Clark Tucker, that's taking on Nancy Pelosi. Watch.
Congressman Hill opened his campaign by attacking me, knowing full well that I've said from day one that I won't vote for Nancy Pelosi. We're better than that.
Your reaction going to work?
Arkansas, too, is a Trump district. It's Trump territory. There's no more politician detested like Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
So will it work? No. But what it does is it gives him a ticket to admission. At least maybe someone will listen to him because he says he's against Nancy Pelosi, but he's still got a D next to his name on the ballot.
So that might be smart, making Pelosi a liability.
It's a very smart move. It's the best move he can make. But it's still a very likely Republican district.
Let me get one more in there, and that is the race for governor in Georgia. Boy, is that a fascinating race to watch. This is GOP governor candidate Brian Kemp talking about immigration solutions.
I'm so conservative, I blow up government spending. I own guns that no one's taking away. I got a big truck, just in case I need to round up criminal illegals and take them home myself. Yep, I just said that.
Is that going to work? I think the message is quite clear there.
Well, actually, you have to understand, this is a message about trust. He's running against the lieutenant governor who came in first in the first round primary. He was trailing by 13 points. But the lieutenant governor was caught on tape saying, you know, I only supported this one bill to prevent my opponents from getting a gain. So there's a lack of trust by conservatives among about a lot of politicians. And what Kemp is saying here is, when it comes right down to it, you got to trust somebody who's real conservative like the rest of us Georgians. This one matters. Kemp is an underdog, but he is underrated. And whoever wins this is likely to be the next governor of Georgia.
Well, it's going to be fascinating to watch, and I got to tell you, as a political junkie, the campaign ads just get better and better. They're like wine.
They are crazier.
Scott, thank you very much for joining us. We will have you back again as midterms heat up. Thank you. All right, coming up, Corey Lewandowski and David Bossie are both here live, and we're ready to roll on the plaza. Log roll, that is. 7-time world champion log roller is here to show us how to do it next. Look at that.
It is Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all of the wonderful dads out there. And I want to give a special shout out to my dad on this Father's Day morning. He's actually in Moscow right now, and he's watching us live from what my mom said. So I hope he can hear this. Dad, I love you. I hope that your day is wonderful. I hit the jackpot with you.
Good morning, Mr.
That's
Ambassador.
great. Mr. Ambassador, happy Father's Day. And what dad doesn't like? A good log rolling competition. Transition. Our next guests are actually trying to take the sport mainstream. Here with us now, 7-time world log rolling champion Judy Hostler.
Hold on, 7-time world champion.
That's like no one's ever beat you.
Exactly.
Ever.
Like the best of the best in the world.
By the way, I broke
Judy,
6 weeks ago my shoulder, so I'm not going to be doing this.
Okay.
But fortunately, you and he is.
You don't roll on your shoulders, you roll on your feet.
Good.
You're still time.
So talk to us about this.
Talk to us. Yeah, what is? Talk to us about log rolling. Give us the pitch.
Well, log rolling is a historic American sport started 125 years ago when men moved logs down rivers to sawmill towns. They had to walk across the rivers and balance themselves on the logs. It was very fun. They decided to turn it into a sport.
Who is this? Who are we
This
watching
is my
here?
wonderful husband. Shout out to the dad of my 4 kids.
There you go.
Yeah, he's
Who
amazing.
doesn't want to spend their Father's Day on national television?
So we wanted to create a portable log to make this an Olympic sport.
Okay.
The wood logs were inaccessible. They weighed 500 pounds. They were difficult to source. So 10 years ago, we hired student engineers, and they asking them.
Well done, sir.
Yes. And the important thing, my husband, he didn't learn to roll as a child, and he said we have to have not only portability, we have to have learnability.
So can anybody do this?
He created training wheels.
Oh, that's what that yellow.
There are
it sort of
3
slows
of
it down a
them.
little
Judy,
bit.
this is probably not what you plan on doing, but do you compete with each other?
Yeah, we do.
Go for it.
Serious?
Let's see who wins.
yeah, let's do it.
I'm not sure you're supposed to do this or not, but here we have a comment. What's your name? James. Okay, we have a competition happening. This is Father's Day.
But this is
matrimony
You got you
competition.
right here, 100%.
Okay.
Hold on, you got to give a hand.
Are you ready?
Let me know when you're good.
Here we go. Day off. Look at this. This is fantastic. The technique. This is quite amazing.
Who's gonna win?
And they're looking at each other's feet. They're looking at each other's feet. I think it's like they're psyching each other out.
That's the strategy, I think.
Of the strategy.
Look at the balance, though.
Pete
the
is going in
balance
for
it
the
takes
chair.
Hold
to
the chair out. I don't
yourself
want
up.
anybody injured. I'm all about safety. You guys know that.
And now you're talking about the 7-time world champion. Oh, Judy!
Judy!
Congratulations! That was fantastic.
That's true love
Quickly,
right
come
there.
over here. We're almost out of time. Well, how did you win? What was this key there?
It's experience, actually. Experience over.
Where can folks learn more about log rolling?
KeyLogRolling.com. We're taking this sport mainstream. We're in 9 countries. Olympic Vision, pools.
That is awesome.
Cabins,
All right, more Fox and Friends.
More
right after
after we
this.
come back.
Well.